their season's over. Why you're not just selling the farm and keep trying to tank? And because, like I've said before, and everyone else says, this draft class we have right now is going to be generational, one of the deepest of all time. Welcome back to Two Generations, One Mic. Great show this week with a lot to cover. We have Olympics, NBA trade deadline stuff, some NFL moves, golf and tennis. Good to be with you, Pat.
Hi, bud. Good to be with you. Looking forward to it. This will be a good one.
Yep, can't wait. First, though, a quick word from our sponsor. When your body's out of alignment, life just feels harder. At Woods Chiropractic, Dr. Chad Woods brings 25 years of experience helping patients feel better, move better, and get back to living pain-free. Woods Chiropractic offers gentle chiropractic adjustments, electrical muscle stimulation, ultrasound therapy, and deep tissue massage, all tailored to what your body needs. And yes, most insurance is accepted. Serving the entire greater Sioux Falls area, Woods Chiropractic is conveniently located at 229 West 39th Street in Sioux Falls. Call 605 331 2052 to schedule your appointment or visit chadwoodschiro.com. That's Woods Chiropractic. Experience you can trust, relief you can feel. All right, and then getting into the episode here, have to start with Pat's jersey. So, what do you got today?
Oh, man. This is going back, and this is definitely going to be my generation and at like the younger version of my generation. Here you go. You ready? First of all, one of the classic NBA
Yep.
logos and team names of the Bullets versus the Wizards, and I'm always a Bullets guy.
Yep.
Andrew Gaze. Now, I'm sure people are going, Andrew Gaze, my gosh, I never even heard of him in the NBA. Well, he only played a couple years in the NBA, but what he was really known for was his years in college. He played for Seton Hall. But let me give you just his whole history. He's born in 1965 from Melbourne, Australia, and he played actually for the Melbourne Tigers from 1984 to 2005, and he would dabble in and out of there, going to college a little bit, then would come back, played in some other places, and would come back. But he played. He went over to Italy and played in 91, 92. In 94, he played for the Bullets. 95, played in Greece. In 99, played for the San Antonio Spurs and actually won an NBA championship. Let me give you just a little bit of history for him before I get into his time at Seton Hall, Ben. He
Mm-hmm.
played, so Australia's professional basketball league is called the National Basketball League versus the National Basketball Association here in the States.
Yep.
He was a 7-time league MVP. He was a 14-time scoring title holder, 2-time NBL champion in 93 and 97, and 15 consecutive years he was on the first team all NBL. Right now, he's 2016 to present. He's a coach in the league. He coaches the Melbourne Tigers. He was an 11-time All-Star and a 2-time All-Star MVP. Also, the Australian International Player of the Year award is called the Gaze Medal. Now, here's the interesting thing. He played for Seton Hall for 1 year, 88-89 season. And they it was the first time Seton Hall went to the Final Four and went to the NBA championship game. And people that were watching back then will remember that game. It was versus Michigan, and Michigan had like Glenn Rice, who
Mm-hmm.
went into a great NBA career, as well as Ramil Robinson was their point guard. Game
Yep.
went into overtime, and Ramil Robinson ultimately hit 2 free throws as time was about to go out on overtime to win the game. But Gaze was known for his 3-point shooting for Seton Hall. He averaged that 1 year he was there. He averaged 13.6 points, 4.5 rebounds, and 2.9 assists. But everyone will just remember his 3-point shooting from back then. I mean, it was just awesome. The other interesting thing, Ben, from that tournament,
Mm-hmm.
as Michigan was getting ready to begin the tournament, their coach that went all the way through the season and had been their coach for a number of years prior was a guy by the name of Bill Frieder. And he made the decision. It was kind of like what the college football is going through right now, where he made the decision to leave Michigan and join and become the Arizona State University coach. And so Steve Fisher became the interim coach and led them all the way to the championship. Then they
That's
made him permanent. Then he was there for a great number of years. Where then he had the Fab Five a few years later.
Yep.
Went to a couple of Final Fours with them. Ultimately was let go when Michigan didn't start playing very well, and went on and had a pretty good career with San Diego State University. So, kind of interesting how, though, I mean, right as the tournament was beginning was when Bill Frieder he left, and then Fisher was the interim coach. So, Andrew Gay's Washington Bullets jersey, love it. I love the Bullets. I hate that they had to change to the Wizards. Don't agree with it, but whatever.
I know the Bullets jerseys are so cool. Like
It's
thinking
so
back to
great.
like Muggsy and Minute.
Yeah,
Yeah.
look at that. I mean, that is just awesome.
Yep.
It's so great.
Those are good
It's so
looking.
great. Yeah, that
All
was a
right.
good look.
And then getting into it here. So this week we start the Winter Olympics. Um
Yep,
and I
on the 6th.
yep. And I will say I've always been more of a Summer Olympics guy, but NBC's introducing the Gold Zone, which is supposed to be like the red zone where it just jumps around to everything that's currently going on, but for the Winter Olympics. And so I'm really excited about that because figuring out the schedule and which channel you have to go to, it's just always been such a pain. And you end up missing something good because you didn't even know it was on. So I
Oh,
think
for
that'll
sure.
be really fun.
I agree. I think it's really cool. And you're the one that told me about that. I did
Hmm.
not realize that that was an actual thing, the Gold Zone. And I think it's super cool that they're bringing Scott Hansen from the Red Zone
Yep.
to host that. I mean, they'll have a couple of other people, but I mean, obviously, it won't be going during the nighttime in Italy, but
Yeah.
during all the other times, I mean, it's just going to be awesome. There'll be a couple of other hosts, but I think it's super cool. I have always, growing up, I always did a lot of winter sports, skiing and sledding and all of that sort of stuff, and so I always did enjoy the Winter Olympics. The Winter Olympics um, numbers from viewership are always a little bit lower than the Summer Olympics.
Yeah.
And back in the day, in my generation, we used to literally only have the prime time broadcast. I mean, they didn't even do around the clock broadcast like they do now, or not necessarily around the clock, but when the Olympics were going, there's always something being broadcast. We never had that. And so now that it's on like five different channels, not including the Gold Zone, because they do MSNBC, they do USA Channel, a couple other oddball NBC channels, and then of course on the main NBC channel, you have the main broadcast where Mike Tirico, or it used to be Bob Costas, or whoever would be hosting, and
Yep.
you just get the mainstream sports. They're always kind of going for, the stay-at-home parent or mother or whatever, where they do feel good stories about whatever and all this, and you get figure skating, swimming, and gymnastics during the summer, just those
Hmm.
mainstream stuff, where
Yeah.
there's so much other, like, really cool, a little bit more obscure, like in the Summer Olympics, you have canoeing and rowing and all of that sort of stuff that you never really
Hmm.
get to see. And during the winter, bobsled, skeleton, luge, all those
All the skiing stuff. Yeah.
skiing and what is it, biathlon or whatever, where you're cross country skiing and then shooting targets.
I think that's always a fun one.
I think it's super cool. And by the
Yeah.
way, can you imagine how hard it would be to be cruising along as hard as you can cross country skiing? Your heart rate is just flying. Then you have to lay down and try to hit targets, without shaking because your heart's beating so fast. I don't
It's
know how they do
hard.
that. I think it's
Yeah.
incredible. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm looking
I'm
forward to it. I love the Olympics because it's like you can always turn the TV on and there's something on for it.
and that's why the gold zone will be perfect for this. I'm
Totally agree.
curious for the first day of it if I know they're switching hosts throughout. I hope Scott Hansen's the first one. I want to hear what his intro's like, if it's anything like Red Zone, like how
Yeah.
he says 7 hours of commercial free football. If he does something like that, but changes it to Olympics.
Is there anything better than when he goes 7 hours of
Nope.
commercial free?
It's
Yeah, and then he immediately does the Octobox.
yep for all the
It's awesome.
kickoffs.
Even if there's only 7 or 6 games, and then they show like they'll have one be him and one be the control studio,
Yeah.
so you can still say Octobox. I think that's so
Uh-huh.
funny. Yeah, I love it.
All right, and then college basketball. So Michigan and Michigan State played this weekend, and that was a big top 10 matchup.
Yep.
And obviously, it's the Michigan State rivalry. Did you see all the Dusty May Tom Izzo stuff?
No.
So the game was pretty scrappy. Like at one point, this Michigan State player, Jeremy Fears Jr., tried to trip Yaxel Lendenberg, and there were a
Ooh.
couple plays like that. And Tom Izzo and Dusty May didn't shake hands after the game, and they were both ripping each other in their press conferences, calling each other dirty.
Really?
Yeah, it,
Wow.
it
I did not see that.
it was pretty crazy. Yeah, so I don't know, and I don't think either one of them's right. I mean, there were a couple plays from both teams where it was one of the dirtiest games I've seen in a while. Like just
Wow.
blatant tripping and stuff. Yeah, it was
I did
crazy.
see a video where prior to the game, the coach, I mean, like, it looked to me like it was way before the game time, the actual tip. Uh, the coach of Michigan came out and sat, because it was at Michigan State, correct?
Yes.
And he came out and sat down on the bench. And I mean, there was no one in the first few rows. And then
Hmm.
about, let's just say, 5 rows behind him, there was like the students were all back behind him.
Yeah.
And I couldn't hear what they were saying on the video, but it looked like all the students were just leaning over and yelling at him. And he just sat back and had his legs crossed.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it looked brutal. Those rivalries are so good. And then if you have the coaches like participating in the rivalry and butting heads, that
That
makes it
makes
just
it really
all
good.
the better.
Yep.
Yeah, that's so
Um,
good. So good.
Arizona remains undefeated, so that's
Yep.
awesome. Best start in program history, 22-0. That beat in 2014 they started the year 21-0. So
Oh, did they
beat
really?
that record. Uh-huh. When like Aaron
Nice.
Gordon was there. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
but they did have a close game last week against BYU where Arizona was up like 10 with 5 minutes left, and then it became a 1 point game. Which, yeah, Arizona fell apart a little bit, but oh my gosh, that was some of the worst officiating I have ever seen.
Oh, shoot.
And there were a couple plays where Arizona was trying to inbound it, and Jaden Bradley was getting held as he was trying to get open. So he kind of pushes the guy off of him, and they call an offensive foul as he's getting held. It and it feels like too this happens every time to us against BYU, because if you remember the game last year that I was at, and it was a 1 point game, BYU had the ball with 10 seconds left, and their main senior Richie Saunders throws up like this moving mid-range fadeaway shot, and the defense was so good and they call a foul, and he hits two free throws to win the game. It was ridiculous. That's probably the loudest or second loudest I've seen McHale, but this time it was
Oh,
from like an angry standpoint. Holy cow. It was crazy.
that's awesome. Mikhail, I mean, you had such a cool experience of 4 years of just awesome college basketball. I mean, those few times that I was able to come down and go to a game here and there with you, I will never forget. I don't remember what year it was for you. It was either sophomore or junior year, and I came down for the Oregon game. That
Oh, yeah.
was awesome.
And that was a
Oh,
good game too.
oh, it was a great game.
Came
It came
down to
down to
the
the end,
end.
and
Yeah.
Oregon was good. Oregon,
Yeah.
Oregon was good. That's when they had Manute Bol's kid.
Oh, Bull Bull. Yeah.
I think maybe it was the first year he was gone. Whatever.
Yeah.
Oregon was good though.
No, they were
Yeah.
good. I would put McHale up there close to top five in for like college basketball atmospheres. Like
Oh, for sure.
obviously you have Cameron and you have Allen Fieldhouse and those ones, but McHale is good. And I've heard
Yeah.
like Jay Billis say that too. He has McHale up there. No,
Oh, I
that's a
would
fun
agree
one.
totally because it is a rather intimate setting. I mean, it's a pretty steep bowl. It gets really loud down in there. You and I have had the chance to be at Cameron and at the Dean Smith Center, which are two polar opposite type places. Cameron is like going into a high school gym.
Yep.
I mean, literally bench, the lower seats are wooden bleachers. And just one tiny little bowl. I think what is a whole 5,000 plus or minus. I mean, it's not a
Something like
lot.
that. Yeah.
And then you have Dean Smith, which holds 20, give or take, and is, multi-tiered, which I just saw a deal where some of the UNC students during one of their games were holding up newspapers, and on the back of the newspaper it said students, they're talking about needing to do a renovation to the Dean Smith Center, and they're talking about, do they renovate where it is right now? Do they move it, or do they, literally build a new stadium somewhere differently on campus? Or third, do you move it off campus? And
Interesting.
yeah, it was. And I forget on the back, it said students for keeping the
One
Dean
of
Smith
them.
Center where it is. I don't remember their wording exactly. But I will
I would
say,
assume they want to
moving
keep it on
something off
campus.
campus is just anything that you can have on campus, you got to have on campus.
Yeah, because when I was at Arizona, when I was there, most years for baseball, they were top 25. And I'm not a huge baseball guy, but I'd go with my friends that are baseball guys to watch the game. But
Right.
that was off campus. So you had to drive to get there. And it's not the same experience as baseball or basketball and football walking over to the game.
Yeah,
You have everyone walking there together, all 15,000 or whatever it is.
for
It's
sure.
not the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, think about, you and I being in Sioux Falls, University of Sioux Falls football stadium is 5 miles from campus, or four. I mean, a student wakes up on Saturday morning and thinks about having to, get in the car and drive over versus, you and I have also been, Augie back in Sioux Falls has their stadium on campus, so they get a fair number of students. You
Hmm.
and I have been to Auburn, Nebraska, Arizona. It's so much more convenient for the student to get to the on-campus facility. Anyway,
Yeah. And if you want to have a drink before the game or something, that changes everything. Yeah.
totally, totally, yeah.
Um, and then fun stat as we kind of transition from college to NBA. So Caleb Love, who spent 3 years at North Carolina and 2 years at Arizona, and those 2 years was while I was there. He went undrafted this past year, being a fifth year guy, even though he was one of the best players in college basketball. You just see that a lot with fourth and fifth year guards specifically, too. And luckily, because Portland's a younger team and has dealt with some injuries this year, he's actually gotten a lot of playing time and he's scoring. He has 77, or he has more points than 77% of the first round picks this year.
That's so incredibly insane. Okay, so tell me, has he been moved off of a two-way contract, and is have they moved him into a full-time NBA contract yet?
Not officially. I assume they'll, because I think with a two-way contract, if I'm not mistaken, you get a certain amount of NBA games, whether it's half the season, so 41 or whatever it is. I assume they'll sign him to a standard deal once it kind of gets to the end of that, but he's still technically on a two-way deal.
Okay.
But the way he's
Okay.
played this year, he they have to do it.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll tell you what, I mean, I remember watching him for your last 2 years at Arizona, and that was just so much fun. He was good.
I've always watched him and thought this is an NBA player. I
Even when he was at North Carolina before he came over to Arizona, I mean, he
When he
was
was a
good.
sophomore, now it was a good team. You had like Armando Bacot and RJ Davis there. He led them to the national championship game and they were up 10 against Kansas.
Hmm.
He, they almost won it. Yeah.
Right. Right. And is there anything better than a KU UNC national championship game? I don't care who's on the team. Just
No.
two college blue bloods.
Well,
I mean, that's just awesome.
and it was fun because it was Duke they beat in the Final Four to get there.
Yeah, so you had there you go. And
Mhm.
do you remember who the other
Do I
I forget
remember
who
who
the
Kansas beat?
yeah.
No, I
Anyway,
forget off the top of my head. Yeah.
Duke, Kansas, North Carolina, and whomever to for that to be your final four. Oh, that is
Yeah, that
rock
was a
solid.
fun year,
Okay,
except
before
that
and
Arizona
you're
lost, but
yeah, right. You're transitioning into the NBA. Let me bring up one
yeah.
other interesting stat that I came across the other day. So, 22 out of the last 24 NCAA national champions have been in the top 21 in adjusted offensive efficiency, and 20 that was 23 out of 24, and 22 out of 24 of the past national champions have been in the top 29 in adjusted defensive efficiency. And so right now, here are the teams that fit into that category that would appear to be the favorites. You
Mm-hmm.
got Purdue, Arizona, Duke, Iowa State, Michigan, BYU, Vandy, Houston, Virginia, Florida, Gonzaga, Nebraska. So that's it's going to be it'll be kind of cool to see if one of those teams pulls it out, and that little stat continues to stay true.
Yeah.
Nebraska did pick up two of their first losses here in the last week, which is kind of a bummer.
It is tough. I mean, and there are good losses too. You have Michigan and Illinois, who are both awesome top 10 teams. In
Totally.
both games, they were in it until the end. It's not like they
Right.
got blown out in these games.
No, and
No,
Michigan was at Michigan. I don't remember where the Illinois game was.
it was at Nebraska.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and
Um,
Illinois is good. Yeah.
yeah. Nebraska, though, was packed. I was watching that game. It looked
Yeah.
loud in there, which, I
That's
mean, I
awesome.
get it for how disappointing their football season was and the way their volleyball season ended. It's fun for them to have
Oh,
something to cheer for here.
that volleyball loss was brutal.
And then we have NBA here. So we're right within the last week of the trade deadline.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and it's been relatively quiet. Like, there's lots of rumors, but from an actual trade standpoint, it's been quiet. We've only had one major one. So, DeAndre Hunter goes to the Sacramento Kings for Keon Ellis and Dennis Schroeder, which the way Dennis Schroeder has been moved around the past couple of years is amazing. I think he's
Totally.
on it's 11th or 12th team now.
That's
Which
total in his career. 12th
Yeah.
team in his career.
And he's a solid player too. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He had some good runs on the Lakers there. I will say though, I don't know what the Sacramento Kings are doing right now. So they have the worst record in the league at 12-39. And trading for DeAndre Hunter, he's a starting small forward. He's 28 years old, so he's not like a young asset anymore. He's a win now player for a team that needs a wing. The Kings probably could have given Keon Ellis to someone else for a first. I don't understand this move. Their season's over. Why you're not just selling the farm and keep trying to tank? And because, like I've said before, and everyone else says, this draft class we have right now is going to be generational, one of the deepest of all time. I can basically guarantee that. So I don't understand that move, but what do I
Yeah.
know?
Well, and it would be so good for Sacramento to get, you know, a really good pick. I like small market teams because I think they need to stay relevant. Um, Again, you've heard me say this numerous times on this show, and you have heard it your whole life. I think in every sport, there needs to be you need to make sure you keep your big name teams relevant and good.
Yep.
We've always talked about the Knicks and the Celtics and the Lakers and the Bulls. You
Mm-hmm.
need those teams good. We've done it for college football. We've done it whatever. But equally important, I think, just from a fan standpoint, is making sure you keep the Sacramentos and the Milwaukee's, you know, relevant.
Indiana.
I mean,
Yeah.
yes, thank you. And you need one of what you need, a few teams like that to make some deep runs in the playoffs. Like way back when, not way back, but when Kobe and Shaq were at the in L.A. and Sacramento had Weber and oh gosh, a number of
Bibby.
those other guys. Yep, baby, and they met. I want to say back to back years in the Western Conference Finals, and they went 7 games. At least the
Yeah.
second time they went 7 games, if not the first time as well. So awesome, and it was so fun for Sacramento. I'm sure I would love to have been in that city at the time. I mean, that's just awesome.
Well,
So
and I think back to 2021 when they still had like De'Aaron Fox and they were on the 20-year playoff drought, something like that.
yeah,
And that was such a fun year. They were doing that light the beam thing. And they unfortunately matched up with Steph and the Warriors in the first round, but it went to six.
yeah, yeah.
And that was such a fun year. I remember seeing videos. That was one of the loudest NBA stadiums I have ever seen. It
Oh, it's
was
so cool.
amazing. And then they've kind of fallen apart again after that. So another storyline, Paul George gets suspended for 25 games for taking a banned substance. He says it was mental health related, didn't specify what the substance was. But in today's day and age, with how regulated they have this stuff, how does a team doctor or just he not confirm that the substance is not on the banned list?
I have not the foggiest idea. I've never had an agent before in my
Hmm.
life to control my every step. But I would say this: if I'm going to start taking something new, and first and foremost, going to the team and saying,
Hmm.
I'm going to start taking this. Can you triple check, make sure everything is clear? And
Yep.
if it's something that you don't want the team to know that you're going to take, maybe you don't want, for whatever reason, he wanted to not talk about the fact that he was taking this for his mental health or whatever, then go to your agent and go, hey, go to somebody that can uh, double and triple check. And if you did and that person dropped the ball, I'd fire him.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And this, it's just so brutal for the Sixers because on paper, this is an awesome team. And between Paul George and Embiid, they just have not been able to
Maxi.
stay
Yeah.
healthy. Maxi's been able to stay on the court. He's the one backpacking
Oh,
this whole thing.
just health standpoint. Yes, right.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just saying, yeah, being able to get the full team on the court. Um,
That
and
is,
they
I will say though, that's the drawback of I mean, you know what you've got in Embiid. He's going to be able to
mm-hmm,
play half your games, maybe.
yep, yeah,
I mean, when you watch that guy go up and down the court, it just looks painful. I mean, it just looks like he hurts. I mean, it just does. Paul
yeah,
George has been around forever, ripped his leg apart, when he had that gruesome injury and all this. And I mean, gosh, it just feels like he's been in the league forever. I mean, that is the trade-off for having some significant veterans on your team. I mean, that is a brutal day in and day out sport. It just is. And, they play so much, and that's what you're going to get. That's your trade-off.
yeah. It's hard because LeBron, Steph, and KD have all aged so well. And people think these superstars are going to age the same way. But I don't know. These three are kind of anomalies. Like you look at Paul George, Kawhi, other guys. From a health standpoint, Embiid, they're just not able to age the same way.
Right.
They can have good games, but Steph, LeBron, and KD play a relatively a lot of games. So
And
it's
Harden. How
impressive.
about Harden?
Yeah. Oh, that brings me to my next point. So last night I was going to bed and then all of a sudden my phone just started blowing up. And I'm like, okay, what's going on here? So apparently the Clippers and Harden are looking to move him by the deadline on Thursday.
I did see that this morning. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Which, and I don't understand that move either because let me pull up the standings here. So the Clippers with Kawhi hurt got off to an awful start. Like
Terrible.
6-21, I think was kind of their lowest point.
Yep.
They've rebounded really well here. They're now 23-26, sitting at ninth in the West. And the West is tight. So a couple more little win streaks and they could move up out of the play-in into that 6 seed.
Right.
So I don't understand the move. And Shams is reporting that Cleveland and LA are in deep conversations about a trade centered around Harden for Darius Garland for the
Oh,
Cavs.
wow.
I yeah, I don't know if I love that move for either side, but I
Isn't
just don't like.
isn't Garland one of their, up and coming younger guys?
He's been in the league for about 5 years. He's made an all-star game. Past 2 years, he's been battling injuries, but
Yeah.
yeah, good when he's healthy, good player.
Yeah.
Him and Donovan Mitchell aren't a perfect fit together, but I don't think Donovan Mitchell and Harden would be either.
They're both kind of the same guy. Like to
Exactly.
chuck it and yeah. No, I'm with you.
Yeah. And then, okay, I want to get your opinion on this. So,
Okay.
LeBron and Kevin Durant got named as All-Star reserves. So older guys in the faces of the league. Kevin Durant deserves the All-Star reserve, but LeBron's missed a lot of games this year, and when he has played, he's been good, but missed a lot of games. But LeBron still made the game because, like I've said in past episodes, you need him in the All-Star game. It's LeBron. How do you feel about LeBron getting in it over someone younger who has had a good season but not a face of the league? So like Kawhi didn't make it, Dylan Brooks didn't make it. I don't think Jaren Jackson made it. What are your thoughts on it?
Is Dylan Brooks the one at Phoenix that
And
is dirty and all that?
yeah, but he is having an amazing year.
Is he?
Best year of his career. He's averaging about 22 a game. Yeah.
Here's the problem. When you have all those other antics like that, all that baggage, you're not gonna get selected. So I don't have a
Yeah.
problem with that. But in general, let's take what
Yep.
you're saying. A
Yep.
person that is having a fantastic year that isn't necessarily the face of the league, and an aging veteran whose numbers may not be what they have been in the past, but they put them in the All Star game. The All Star game is for the fans,
Mm-hmm.
and the fans want to see those people. And is everybody a LeBron fan like you? No. Is everyone a KD fan like the big KD fans? No. But when you go to something like that, that's who you want to see. Love him or not love him. I mean, you want to
Yep.
see LeBron. I mean, everybody, even if you don't like LeBron, you look at him and go, oh my God, that is so cool. One, I can't believe I'm seeing him in person. Two, he's
Yeah.
massive. Um,
Mm-hmm.
anyway, so I mean, these All Star games are for the fans. They're not for the players. Um, and basketball is so hard because you're talking about so few that make it versus like Major League Baseball, football, all of
Yep.
that. And if that was a concern of yours when you're negotiating your contract, and a lot of guys will have, a bonus in their contract if they make the All Star game, and if you feel like you're a guy that just isn't necessarily, the a face that is going to be in there, then have some sort of other incentive besides the All-Star game be in there in your contract. I mean,
Yeah.
and then you go to the All-Star game and mess around and be on the sidelines and hold up numbers when you're at the dunk contest and all that business, and who cares?
Yeah. No, I agree. It's for the fans. And if I were going to the All Star game, me being a LeBron fan, like, he's battled against Steph for so long now. I've been on the LeBron side of things. But if you had to tell me Steph was going to be in the All Star game or some, who should I say? Keontae George for the Jazz, who should have been an All Star this year.
Yeah,
I'm going to choose Steph every time as much as I like watching
every
Keontae
time.
George.
Every
Yeah.
time. Here's the difference is they're marketing all-star games to people. You're not their target audience because you're going to
No.
watch it and pay attention to that no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
If George were in there, the one you're talking about from Utah, not Paul George, if he
Yeah.
were in there and not Steph, you're still watching it and you're appreciating his game and
Mm-hmm.
is like, oh, that's awesome. He earned his spot.
Yeah.
You're not the person that they're going after. They're going after Joe Blow, who is sitting there on whatever night um,
Sunday night.
the Sunday night the game's on, and goes, "Oh, I want to see Steph playing, you know, LeBron and KD and all that." And so that have a few more years where you build up your name within the game, and then and every
Yeah.
once in a while, you have a few guys that do make it in there because their game that particular their overall game that particular year is just out of this world, and so then they get put in there. I'm not going to be able to come up with anyone off the top of my head, but you'll get
Denny
some
Avdia
randoms
from
in
the
there.
Trailblazers. Yeah.
Right, right. So
Yeah, he's averaging 25, 6, and 6 this year. That's someone you have to put in the game with those numbers.
for sure, for sure.
And then moving on to the NFL here. So, you as a Vikings fan, this one hits for you. So, Vikings fire their
It's
GM, Kwesi. I have trouble with his last name, so we're just going to stick with Kwesi.
yep,
He was the GM there for 4 years.
yep,
So, a couple interesting draft stats here for you.
yep.
So, he made 28 picks as the GM of the Vikings. Only 14 picks are still on the roster, zero Pro Bowl appearances. And there's been reports of internal turmoil between him and Kevin O'Connell because Kevin O'Connell wanted a veteran quarterback this year. He didn't think McCarthy was ready, but Kwesi was the one that pushed for McCarthy to start. Yeah. And oh, did you see the paternity thing?
Oh, was that where he took 2 weeks off during training camp
Yeah.
to take his 2 weeks of paternity leave? Yeah,
That is insane.
that is crazy.
Could
especially
you
when
imagine if?
you know that you haven't performed. I mean,
Yep,
you know, you have on-field performance and you have off-field performance. And when you are an off-field personnel but are responsible for on-field performance and you have fallen short multiple years in a row, I yes, I mean, especially when you're in a coveted job like that.
mm-hmm.
And
You just
so, yes, I have zero problem with him being fired.
whether it's right or wrong on if he should get paternity or not, you hear so many stories of players and coaches missing the births of their kids, whatever it is, and then you go take 2 weeks of paternity. It's just such a bad look when you're a leader of the team.
Well, especially, I mean, it would be different if you had, a Super Bowl and an NFC championship game under your belt to show for it.
That's true too. Yeah.
I mean, you gotta earn your position just like any job here in this country. You got to earn your
Mm-hmm.
position, and
Yeah.
so anyway, yeah, he's gone. It'll be interesting to see who they hire in that position. Um, Yeah, yeah, and then and then it sure as heck doesn't help for Justin Jefferson to come out and say, "Had we kept Sam Darnold, we would have had a much better season." I mean, I think everybody knows that when your star, not only star receiver, but your star player of the whole team comes out and says that, that is a pretty damning critique of your job.
Yeah. They have a lot of stuff to figure out here. I'm
Boy, oh
curious to
boy,
see what they do
me
because
too.
it's a good roster, but you got to have quarterback figured out.
Yep. And
Um,
it's now, oh boy, this will be a really interesting what an incoming GM does.
yeah, I saw their keep. So the VP of football operations is going to lead them through the draft, and then after that, they're working on hiring a new GM. So we'll see.
Okay, so
Um,
let me ask you this. Let me ask you this as kind of a guy that pays attention to the front office and that
mhm.
sort of stuff. And I'm talking, doesn't matter if you're talking about NBA, NFL, whatever. What do you think about them doing the draft without the GM, then the GM gets hired and is responsible with how that draft went versus going out right now, powering through a job search, making, obviously it would be a lot of long days to make sure you do a proper search and that sort of thing. Then allowing the GM to be in there and doing his draft. So then I mean, because here's what I'm getting at. He's going to be able to come in and let's say it's another year of poor performance or whatever the case
Mhm.
may be. Next couple years, because it's 7 players, assuming they have a draft per round. You've got
Yep.
7 players. I mean, he or she kind of has a get out of jail free card for a couple years of poor performance by going, yeah, that wasn't my draft. You guys drafted all these guys.
Yeah.
If it were me, I would want, I mean, the draft isn't until April.
Mhm.
You know,
But
get a GM hired.
I will say though, so I would assume that this VP of football operations, the scouting department, the coaching staff. I mean, we've already had the college football season. We had the Senior Bowl last week, which is huge for scouting. I would bet that the Vikings kind of have a general direction that they've already started to aim at from a prospect standpoint. Do you have a new GM and after you've done all the scouting work, they come in with their own ideas and basically toss everything the department has done out the window? You know what I mean?
Yes, I mean, that's true. I would think, though, when you're going through the hiring process and you're hearing that person lay out what they've got, their thoughts, their philosophy, their thoughts
That's
on
true.
specific players in this incoming draft, you would find someone And most likely, I mean, you're going to do that regardless. You're going to hire someone that has your same philosophy. You do that whether you're hiring a GM in the NFL, you do that whether you're hiring a salesperson or a chief operating officer within a manufacturing company. I mean, you hire
Yep.
someone that is in lockstep with your overall culture and philosophy. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it would really be that hard to find someone that is, and most likely any GM candidate, whether they're currently in a GM role in another team or someone that is a candidate, already is following what players are what and how. And, you're not picking someone off the street that right now has a job in
Well, yeah.
sales of pencils and,
Yeah.
you're putting into the GM role. I mean, they have their pulse on players and all of that sort of stuff. You just find someone that's in the, I don't know. I just think that, and if you're that GM, you come in and you're like, okay, here's the draft picks that we just made 2 weeks ago. If they hire him after the draft, him or her, here
Mm-hmm.
are our picks here are our picks. Go for it. And I don't know. I just think it's a tough position.
When you wait this long into the year, yeah. Because why they didn't make this move during the playoffs, since the Vikings didn't make the playoffs, I don't know.
I agree. I agree.
Um,
Yeah, you could have done it the day after the season ended
yep,
when they fire all the
exactly.
coaches. Yeah.
Taking a look at golf here. So Justin Rose wins the Farmers Insurance Open. Um, First wire to wire winner in 71 years there. Also beat Tiger's scoring record, which, and you're not a huge Justin Rose guy.
I am not a huge Justin Rose guy, Ben, but I will say that he is slowly starting to win me over.
Really?
Yes, and you and I didn't talk about that the other day. Um, it's interesting. Tiger's record there stood for let's see, it was 1999, so 27 years.
Mm-hmm.
Where he was at 22 under that year, and Rose was at 23 and won by 7 shots. Are you kidding me? He's playing so well right now, and I think it's so cool because it's a late stage of his career on the PGA Tour. I'm sure he'll have a wonderful Champions Tour
Yeah,
career as well, and he's got what 5 or 6 more years before he's even eligible for the Champions Tour. And if he's playing this well now, um, he's on the TGL, which you and I have talked about. But he did have
yeah,
the TGL's first albatross the other day, a couple weeks ago. He
that's
um,
cool.
hit his second shot in on a par five, went in the hole. Um, led Team Europe in the Ryder Cup in
Mm-hmm.
the fall of 25 at Bethpage for the first time of someone winning on foreign soil for a while. Um, he is a grinder. I have a new appreciation for him. He did kind of switch, and you and I have never ever really talked about this, but as you know, when Liv started back in 22, uh, I hated the fact that Liv started. I still don't like Liv. I think it's dumb. And I have tried.
Yep.
I've tried to watch. I have sat down and watched a whole weekend here and there of Liv, and it just is a really tough thing to stomach. Just their whole broadcast, their whole visual on the TV is it just is it is the optics are brutal, and we
Yep.
did that a few weeks ago. But he talked at length at the end of the Farmers Insurance here last weekend of the opportunity that he had to go to Live. They offered him a bunch of dough, and he stayed at the PGA Tour. I love that he's having success. I
Mm-hmm.
think I think it's super cool. I'm super happy for him. He's never been. He's always been a little bit of a drip. That's kind
Yep.
of always been my knock on him. I mean, I've always kind of wanted a little personality, and yeah, I mean, that may not necessarily be changing a ton, but as I get older too, I just have such a huge appreciation for what he's doing on the golf course versus, 18-year-old, Blades Brown last week, who, the young kids are, they always talk about bigger, faster, stronger, you say all that. And here he is. I'm going to say he's 45, give or take. I can't remember. And he's
Yeah.
going out and smoking guys. I mean, winning a PGA Tour event by 7 strokes is so hard. You're playing
Mm-hmm.
so well. I
Yeah.
think it's super cool. I think it's great. A lot of the storyline too. Brooks came back. That was his first PGA Tour event coming back from Live. Made the cut. I think he was T56 at 4 under. So look at that. Brooks was 4 under. Rose was 23 under. I mean, that's
Yeah.
insane. That's
Yeah.
insane. So, um, yeah,
I was happy. I was happy to see that Brooks made the cut and he didn't just suck, because that would
I
have been a
agree.
bit of a downer. Yeah.
Oh, it would have been a huge downer, and I'm glad he's back. I'm not a Brooks fan necessarily, but it's going to be
Hmm.
awesome for the PGA Tour. Just like
For
having
sure.
as you're about to get to, Patrick Reed just announced that he's leaving Live. He's going to. He did not. He didn't fit into the criteria that the Brooks when Brooks came back. The criteria that the PGA Tour made for essentially those other three guys to be able to come back, you have to be a major winner between 22 and 25, and he was not. But
Hmm.
he announced he's not renewing his contract with Live. Coming back, he's going to have to earn his way back on to the PGA Tour. He's going to have to play a whole season here of DP World Tour over in Europe, and he's going to do that. He's going to grind and get back on the tour. I think that's great. I am definitely not a Patrick Reed fan. I'm a Patrick Reed guy on the tour because now it's someone to cheer against. I mean, the tour needs villains. You need guys. You need the Dylan Brooks of the NBA that, you know, I don't care for watching that type of play, but I do like rooting against him. I think it's kind of fun. You need
Yeah.
that in the PGA Tour too.
So Patrick Reed playing a year on the DP World Tour, is that what then qualifies him to be back on the PGA Tour?
Well, as long as he performs,
Yeah.
he's got to meet. And this isn't just because of going to Live. This is for someone trying to qualify for PGA Tour card. He's got to earn some stuff back. He does. He will get to play the Fall Tour Series, I think, as a past champion. So he's got 9
Okay.
PGA Tour wins over his career, and so
Hmm.
he's able to use that as a way to play in the Fall Series. I forget the exact details on how that works, but. Then, kind of another interesting story coming out of the Farmers Insurance. You had a young kid named Michael Bennett. So
Yep.
he had his first PGA Tour event last fall at the what is it, the Bank of Utah Open or whatever at Black Desert, which, by the way, incredible course just
Hmm.
outside of St. George, Utah, built in the black rock of volcano lava from millions of years ago, and they carved this course through it. I've played it one time. It's just outrageously crazy. Anyway, he got his first PGA Tour win. Super cool.
Nice.
So he plays the first round, and then he started this season. He missed the cut at the Sony, and then he was middle of the pack, made the cut, middle of the pack at the Amex last weekend or 2 weekends ago. And then last weekend comes out at Farmers Insurance, plays the North Course first, 2 under, has a great 2 under start, goes in and self reports. And this is the cool thing about golf, self reports that he broke a rule and is disqualified.
Wow.
Interesting what that rule was. So the tour gives you tour approved material for, you always see the golfers pulling the big packet of information out of their pockets and looking at it, and then the caddy has it, and it's got their yardage book, it's got their scorecard and all that. So in the yardage book, it'll have a picture of the green, and then
Yeah.
each morning they get a list of where the pin placements are, or the night before, or whatever, and it's got how many steps off the back or the front, and how many steps from the side, either side.
Hmm.
So he had that the night before, which was not, they get that information. He went
Yeah.
into his yardage book and he marked on the green in the yardage book that the tour provides where the pin placements were. The one problem is he's been working hard on his analytics, and there are green books that you can buy for just about any course in the United States, and it's a detailed picture of the green and where the breaks are on the green, of how the green moves.
Yeah.
He put some arrows by hand, his own handwriting, on each green so that he and his analytics guy could figure out where the best place to hit the ball for the particular pin placements would be. That is illegal. You cannot have anything handwritten or manufactured on the tour provided green books that give you an idea of how the green breaks. And he went in and self-reported, and they disqualified him. I think it's pretty cool. I mean, it's sad that it happened. Cool that he disqualified himself. That's stand-up stuff.
Yeah, that is big time stand-up.
Yeah.
It's really interesting, though. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, one kind of miscellaneous item. So for the college football schedules next year, there is no Oregon State football game, and it's the first time in 44 years that there won't be one. A big in-state rivalry like that. I know these conferences ever since.
It's longer than 44 years. It's the first time since 1944.
Sorry, I misread that. Yep.
Yeah.
First
How
time.
crazy is that?
Like 80 years, whatever that maths out to. 82.
That's so sad.
So, and yeah, I was saying, how do you not? I know these conferences are getting so big now ever since the Pac-12 disbanded and they all kind of shuffled into the Big Ten and the Big 12 and whatnot. When you're making the schedules, though, how do you not keep the in-state rivalry games? Like, I couldn't imagine if Arizona didn't play Arizona State one season. It'd be ridiculous.
Yeah, it's very sad. And, you've got, and I'm sure part of it is, well, and with the Pac-12 coming back, because you had Washington State and Oregon State left out of being able to go anywhere when the Pac-12 disbanded, and now the Pac-12 is back, right? I mean, they've built it back up, and whatever other schools are back in the Pac-12, and you have that. But I think it is very, very sad. I'm sure Oregon's looking at it as, I mean, I'd hate to see what the record is the last couple of years, but I would guess that Oregon has absolutely crushed them.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Washington State. They have the Apple Cup. I haven't read that that's being let go. I would assume it's still on. I know the end of the season rivalry game for Washington and Oregon is them, because I have learned after having some friends here from Seattle and from Oregon that they absolutely hate each other. It's just like the Ohio State-Michigan. I mean, it's incredible. I handed a golf ball to a guy the other day that had a University of Washington logo on it and said, hey, and I found it. And I said, hey, look at this. And this is a huge UW supporter. And he got it. He's like, oh, that's super cool. And he looked, and it was a Nike ball.
Yep.
Threw it out.
Wow.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yep. He goes, I'm not doing anything to support Nike, which supports Oregon. How crazy is that?
That's so funny.
Oh, my gosh. It's nuts.
Yeah.
It is really too bad, Ben. It's too bad.
Yeah. You hate to see that.
Yeah.
And then the NHL Stadium Series the other day. So the Lightning and Bruins, a big 5-1 comeback, and it was kind of the goalie fight that sparks it.
Yeah.
Which I know you love a good goalie fight.
Well, it's interesting. Yeah, Tampa was down 5-1 in Tampa versus Boston, and comes back, and they won in overtime. A shootout. Yeah, 6-5,
Yep.
I think. So, what they say, and then in the interview afterwards. So big fight on the ice. The two goalies skate towards each other, and they fight each other, and then the game carried on. And the Tampa Bay players were saying it was the goalie fight that sparked their comeback. It got them kind of locked back in, and there you go. And I'll never forget two of the best goalie fights ever, both involving Patrick Waugh from Colorado. So in the late 90s, the Colorado Avalanche and Detroit Red Wing rivalry was peaked. It was awesome. Both teams were incredible. And so in 97, Patrick Waugh for the Avalanche, and Mike Vernon was the goalie for the Red Wings, skate to the right. I mean, so fights going on somewhere else. The two of them look at each other down the ice, both skate right towards each other, and just start throwing haymakers right in the middle of the ice. The next season, 98, again, big fight on the ice. Detroit Red Wings goalie this year was Chris Osgood. So this is 1998. Patrick Waugh is kind of somehow got involved in a scuffle off to the side up against the boards. And he looks over. You can see him look over because his mask is off. And he looks over. Osgood's just standing in his goal. And Waugh's a mess. His jersey's all jacked up. And the ref is kind of holding him. And Waugh's leaning over the shoulder of the ref. And he's like, let's go, let's go. And this is the cool thing about the NHL. The ref kind of for a second tried to hold Waugh back and then saw Osgood starting to skate over, and the ref just got out of the way and was like, yep, forget it. And just let him go, until someone falls down. That's when the refs then jump in. But a good goalie fight is the best.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Those are fun. You go to YouTube and watch those, so worth it. Oh, those fights were nasty.
That's funny.
Yeah.
And then our last segment here, this or that.
Oh, boy.
So our question today, if you could go back and attend any sports event in history, what would it be? And obviously throw some honorable mentions in there, but you can go ahead and get it started.
Okay, I'm just going to show you something for a second. Here are my notes. I was like, how do you even begin with this? I mean, you've got the 05. I mean, just tennis. Like, one thing we didn't head on real quick, Carlos Alcaraz won the Australian Open over Djokovic, which is super cool. Djokovic, what's Djokovic? Is Djokovic 40 yet?
He might be 38 or 39, if not 40. Yeah.
Again, awesome old man play. I love it.
Yep.
And good for Alcaraz. That's awesome. But go back to 05. There was a match at like third or fourth round in the U.S. Open when Jimmy Connors, who was aging out, he was old, played Aaron is it Crickstein? Whatever. That and he had just a great match and ended up winning, and it was super cool, and the crowd's just crazy. One thing, Ben, that I think about this in doing a little research last night, you need to have a home team. You'll find on my little list here, I don't have any Super Bowl games. I don't have any college football national championship games because you have a split crowd, and the home energy of whatever, baseball, football, basketball, all that, that's just awesome. I also analyze, do you go for a game where someone just did something historic? It's not super competitive necessarily. It's something historic. Mark McGwire hitting the season-breaking home run, 62 home runs, and it was against the Cubs one evening back in that summer. I ended up not going for those. I went for like a competitive deal. So, and I have a few golf ones in there. The 08 U.S. Open at Torrey Pines when Tiger's legs all jacked up and he rolls in that birdie on 18 to make the playoff. And at the time, the U.S. Open is an 18-hole playoff the following day against Rocco Mediate. Incredible. 05 Masters. Tiger makes a charge, and he and Chris DeMarco were just battling head-to-head. On 16, it's that famous shot where he chipped from off the green. Ball comes to almost a complete stop and then rolls down the ridge and literally stops on the edge of the hole and then drops in. And then they went, and that ended up being a sudden death playoff. So they had to play 18 one more time after regulation. That was incredible.
Yeah.
I've got 1986 Jack at the Masters. I mean, that's historic. He was 43 years old. That's just incredible.
That's cool.
Vikings versus Saints in the divisional round of the playoffs when Stephon Diggs caught that sideline pass as time is running out and actually scores the touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
Miracle in Minneapolis, Minnesota Miracle. That was incredible. Regional final game. Now this is actually a neutral site game, but it was the regional finals of the NCAA championship back in the 90s when Duke threw, and it was Duke Kentucky back and forth, back and forth. Jamal Mashburn played for Kentucky. You had
Yeah.
you had Christian Leitner and Bobby Hurley and those guys, Thomas Hill and anyway, Grant Hill and long pass. Christian Leitner was perfect from the field in that game. Caught the ball at the opposite, free throw line. Make it.
Mm-hmm.
Auburn, the Chris Davis run back to beat Alabama.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, I just don't even know where to go. Um, yeah, hold on, I gotta look at my notes again. Miami versus San Antonio finals in Miami. San Antonio is winning the series 3-2. This is the sixth game. Ball
Yep.
gets kicked out to Ray Allen, and he hit the three. That game would just be so awesome. Eastern
That would be
Conference
fun.
Finals. Give me any Eastern Conference Finals, Bulls versus Knicks back in the 90s. Oh,
Yeah.
are you kidding me? They just battled and battled. You had the Starks dunk that we've talked about. The next
Mm-hmm.
year, the next year was when Scottie Pippen dunked over Ewing and shoved him down and then kind of stood over him for a second. I mean,
Yep.
those stuff. I don't know. And then back in the 90s when the Mariners had Junior and Edgar Martinez, and they were in the the round before the pennant, playing for the AL pennant, and they beat the Yankees on Edgar Martinez. Junior was on third base or first base, I believe. Edgar Martinez gets a hit. Junior is just on his horse coming all the way around and slides into home plate to beat the Yankees. God, I'm going to have to go '05 Masters.
'05 Masters. Okay.
Yep.
I like that.
With I'm going to go the Auburn game as an honorable mention and the Vikings Saints game as an honorable mention.
Okay. Um, so a couple I'm debating between. Mine, I would say, are primarily basketball.
Yeah.
But there are some football ones. Minneapolis Miracle, that was so cool. The Chris Davis return, that was awesome. I know you didn't put any Super Bowls in there, but I think the Super Bowl where the Falcons blew the 28-3 lead to the Patriots,
Yep.
that would have been a pretty cool one to see in person.
Totally.
My couple of basketball ones though. So the 2016 or like the 15-16 season, the national championship game was Villanova and North Carolina.
Oh,
And Marcus Page from North Carolina hits the double clutch three with about 9 seconds left to tie the game. And then it's obviously the Chris Jenkins 3-pointer for Villanova to win it. And I grew up a huge North Carolina fan, so that was heartbreaking. But that would be a really cool one to see in person. Buzzer beater for the national championship, deep three.
yep.
NBA, like you said, the Ray Allen one is cool. Kobe's 81-point game, I think that would be pretty cool to see in person, even though that
Oh,
was a regular season game. I think though my number one has to be 2016 when the Cavs came back against the Warriors, Game 7 of the finals.
oh,
Because
yep, yep, yep,
it's obviously historic
yep,
because no team
yep.
had ever come back from 3-1. It was a great game. The Cavs only won by 4. And you have the Kyrie shot and the LeBron block, two of the most important plays in NBA history in the
Right.
same game there. So I think that takes it for me. That
I
would be
get
the
it.
one game I want to be at. Yeah,
That this is by far the hardest this or that we've done. By far.
for sure. There's
And
so many good ones.
one that I forgot that could possibly be above everything is Team USA beating Russia in 1980 in the Olympics in hockey.
Yep.
You know, just massive, massive underdogs, and it's so cool because back then there weren't professional athletes in the
Mm-hmm.
Olympics, so they were a bunch of college hockey players, and the Russian team, were a bunch of old guys, not old. They have been together. They were essentially a professional team.
Yeah.
That team had been together. That's all they did, and to beat them 4-3, Lake Placid. I mean, incredible, just
Mm-hmm.
absolutely incredible. I think everything about that game and that Olympics is so cool. You had just everyone was just so afraid of Russia back then,
Yeah.
literally from a nuclear war standpoint. I mean, there was the Cold War, and a few months prior, that USA team had played Russia, and Russia, I don't know what they beat them by, 10-2, something like that. I mean, just crushed them.
Yeah.
I, that might actually be out of the stratosphere,
Mm-hmm.
cool to be at, but I mean, I still like my list. I'll stand by my list, but that game would just be something else. I mean, that's truly historic and truly exciting all in one.
Yeah. That's a great point. I get
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Awesome. That was a fun list to come up with. That was a good list for
Oh,
that.
that was so hard. I sat here and actually uh, watched a number of videos on YouTube last night and said, like, you know, um, fantastic sports endings in history. And it was like a 40-minute montage of stuff. It was just so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's fun.
that's awesome.
Awesome. All right, good episode here.
Great
Remember
episode.
to subscribe on YouTube, follow on Instagram and TikTok to Gen 1 Mike Pod. We will see you guys next week. Pat,
Big.
good to be with you.
Love you, bud. Good big
Love
weekend
you.
coming up. Super Bowl. I mean, we'll have some major stuff to review.
Yeah, oh, for sure. All right, thanks for watching.
All right, bud. Love you tons. Talk to you later.
Love you.
All right.